Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. What I'd like to talk about today is using projects with ChatGPT to help your workflow. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. So here's ChatGPT. And in ChatGPT, you're going to have some miscellaneous stuff here. Then you have GPTs, projects, and then the sessions at the bottom. So I'm going to be in a project here. And what I want to talk about, I'll use this as an example. So first I'll talk briefly about the concept of projects. So projects is a way of sharing information across all of the chat sessions that you have. So you can have some task that you're working on, and you might want to give it a knowledge base that it can see across all of the chat sessions. So for example, an example of where that can work really well would be, say you have a PDF that you want to analyze. So it could be like a book, for example. So you have a book that you have as a PDF, and you just want to go through it, look at it in different ways. So each session that you open, it can look at the file that's in your project, and you can analyze what you're looking at, do different things with it. So that works really nice. And another thing that it has that it can see across all of the sessions are instructions. And this is what I really want to talk about in this video. So if I go to edit instructions, you can see that there are instructions here. Now, in order to see the instructions, you can't be in a session. So if I click on this session and I click here, there's no instructions. So I would have to go back to the project view and then click, and then I can see the instructions. What's happened relatively recently is the context window for these instructions has been lengthened. So you can put in very long, complex instructions, and that can be really, really useful. Now, previously, the amount of information you could put was quite limited. And something that I tried that didn't work was I tried putting in a file the instructions that I wanted to use. So the idea is that in order to get good results with AI, you want to be able to build the context. That's really, I would say that's the most important thing. That if you get good at that skill, you can do amazing things with AI. And there's certain things that you want to do every time when you're building context, especially when you're doing like a specific task. So you're doing one specific task, and you know how you want to set the context. So one way of doing it would be you could just save it somewhere and copy and paste it in a session. That works fine. But the idea of a project would be like what I wanted to do would be, well, I just have it in a file, and then anytime I open up the session, the new session, then it has the file contents, in its memory, and then it's like, okay, I don't have to copy paste it, it just does it. But the problem with that was the way that the flow works for prompts. So the way that the flow works for prompts with AI is there's a system prompt, so that's how it controls the alignment, safety, guidelines, things like that. So the first thing that happens when you give ChatGPT a prompt to run is it runs its system prompt. Then it will look at your prompt. Now when you're in a project, you have a file, it doesn't look at the files automatically. You have to ask it to look at the files. So the files are there and it can see it. So if you put like a PDF in there and you want to do certain searches on the PDF, that works great. But you have to request that it looks at it. It doesn't automatically run it. But instructions, it does. It runs it every time. So if you have instructions, then the flow is it will first run the system prompt, and then second, it will run your instructions for each prompt that you do. And then third, it'll run the individual prompt that you give it. So that's really, really useful. So when I tried the workaround of putting the instructions in the file, that didn't work. But when I found out that they increased the window for the context window for what you can put in the instructions, I was I realized that there's great opportunities there. So I'm going to give 2 examples of that. Actually, I'll just give one example. I'll do a follow-up video to go into more detail on a specific one. So the example that I'm going to give, this is a Claude Code Prompt Optimizer. And the idea here is that I want, with Claude Code, there's certain things that each time that I'm running a prompt that I want it to include. And I'll give an example of that. So in I have a simple request for it here. So it says, this is the prompt that I want to give to Claude Code. It's just this. It's replace the content I just gave you with this, and then this is the new content. So it was working on a file I had given it, and I wanted it to replace the content of the file that I had given it with new content. So I could just give it this information, but it's doing things with your repository, and so you want to make sure that it does everything exactly right. And so there's like a bunch of other stuff to include with it. And then that's what this is. It's got phase 1, setup and verification. And then it's got a phase 2, update the document content, so it's like, where it should be, what it should be doing. And then you have the commit and the push, and then a sanity check to make sure that it didn't accidentally delete a bunch of stuff or do something you don't want it to do. And so then I have the content. So this is the actual prompt that I'll give to Claude Code instead of just this simple one. So this is an example. And then the way that this works is I just go open up a session and I give ChatGPT something like this. And then ChatGPT executes the instructions, and then it knows to return back to me this new prompt that I can give to ChatGPT. So this is a very nice workflow, and there's a lot of possible use cases that one could think of for this type of behavior. And anyway, that's what I wanted to share with this video, is that you can use this feature. Oh, I wanted to mention that if you're in a chat session within the project, you can't see the instructions. So it doesn't come up here. So you would need to go back to the project view, and now here I can see the instructions. Now, if you want to know how you can utilize this idea, a way you can do this is a cool thing about how a good AI has gotten, is just open a session with ChatGPT and just explain what I'm talking about, that the feature for instructions has a very large context window that it will allow instructions so that you can use this flow to where it will run these instructions before. It's kind of like your own system prompt, basically. That's what it is, before your prompts. And you can just ask ask ChatGPT, says, how can I take advantage of this? Like, and ChatGPT knows what you're using it for. You don't even have to, like, it just knows that. So when you ask it that question, it will say, well, these are the things, you know, that you're using me for, and so here's some ideas about how you can utilize this feature. Well, I hope you find that useful, and thanks for watching. Until next time.